Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled Trespassing on My Own Property. Not quite the normal fare, but another post inspired me to share. My dad grew up dirt poor, like did not even have indoor plumbing until the 70s, so after he got financially secure, one of his lifelong dreams was to have a little plot of land as a getaway. A place to go hunting or just get away from people for a bit. So we ended up with this plot in rural Missouri, where the rocky soil was not great for farming and no real draws for people to build there. Did not matter for my dad, as he didn't want it for stuff that normally increased property value. As a kid, we would go there and hike and stuff like that. At one point, the lead mine in town shut down, and that was the main source of revenue for the area. Things got pretty lean there, as many were out of work. Anyway, we are out there hunting and we see some signs of logging. Well, we knew it was not us, so we get a little on edge. Then we hear a four-wheeler off in the distance coming in our direction. Two guys jump off and are yelling at us to get off their property or they would have us arrested for trespassing on their property. The passenger on the four-wheeler jumps forward with a big splitting maul, trying to scare us. Unfortunately for him, that was not the impact he had, as he was much smaller than we were, plus as I said, we were there hunting, so we were armed properly. My dad simply tells him that the deed he holds to the property states differently, as it does not show their name, and that we were fully prepared to defend ourselves should they threaten us with that maul any further. Very much speak softly, carry big stick. The two guys who we later found out were actually our neighbors who lived a few miles away from us, jumped back on the four-wheeler and lit out of there faster than Richard Petty. They even left behind that maul they were so apt to use moments before. After that, the property lost its appeal for my dad, as it was supposed to be a place to get away from people and not somewhere to go and get threatened. So he sold it. And guys, I am wondering, have you ever had to deal with any trespassers on your own property? How did you deal with them? I mean, honestly, for people outside of America, we always hear about the laws in regards to trespassing in the United States, and we assume that you can pretty much shoot anyone who trespasses on your property, but I am not sure if that is still completely true. And the next one was posted by user Keshia Killjoy on our own subreddit r/Ripe Stories, and it is titled Abusive Stalker Neighbor. Hi there, I've been really enjoying Ripe's videos about neighbors from hell, so I thought I would share my story. Ripe can use this story in a video if he would like. So, in 2015 I decided to move back in with my mom while putting myself through cosmetology school, and we ended up in a beautiful newly built apartment. We were actually one of the first people to move in, so for the longest time there was no one beside or above us. We lived on the ground floor. Once someone did finally move in, we were pleasantly surprised to find that sound did not really seem to travel between units. Our first set of upstairs neighbors only lived there for about 3 months, and then almost immediately a man and his 2 daughters moved in. The girls were about 7 and 10 and did not make much noise, and at times we forgot anyone lived there. Things were great for the first 2 months, but at the 3-month mark his wife moved in. She seemed nice enough, if not a little reclusive. At first it was only loud music every now and then. Slowly, however, that moved to a daily thing, and then the fights started. There were screaming matches that lasted 15 to 20 minutes, followed by loud music and the husband stomping down the stairs. This went on daily, multiple times a day for about a month, until one day, say at about 3 AM, my mom and I were both woken up by the sound of things being thrown and bodies hitting the floor. It went on for about 15 minutes before we called the cops, and once the cops arrived, things stopped for the rest of the night. Let the bodies hit the well, I got carried away. Anyway, during this time I would notice the husband coming around to the back of our apartment and just staring at our windows. It struck me as odd, but at this point I wasn't too concerned. Fast forward about a week and I am laying in bed studying for a test and my mom is taking a nap when the fighting starts again. At this point, the screaming and throwing things is a daily occurrence and something we were unfortunately used to, but when the two girls started screaming, I instantly called 911, unaware that my mom, who had been scared awake, was calling too. Two officers show up while the fighting and screaming is still going on. They knocked for about 15 minutes before someone answered the door. They stayed for about 20 minutes and then they came down to talk to us. This is where I think things really started to take a turn. They informed us that there were no children and that there was nothing they could do. We knew those girls were there, but they must have hid them. From that day on, the husband ramped things up. Anytime we left the apartment, he would fling their door open and sprint down the stairs and just glare at my mom and I. Anytime I was along outside, he would follow me until my boyfriend at the time drove up. We also caught him one time on our actual patio with his face pressed up to the window. The cops told us that unless he actually threatened us or harmed us, there was nothing they could do. By this point, an entire year had passed, a year of daily fights and him trying to intimidate us. Thankfully, the girls had been removed from the home, but I think that it only made the husband more willing to abuse his wife. Things got so bad, in fact, that one morning in early spring, I wake up to flashing lights and leave my room to find my mom talking to police. He had tried to kill her with a broken glass. That was the night he was finally arrested, things were finally calm and they stayed that way at the apartment for 6 months. We would still see him at the store, but Olive, the wife, not real name, had opened up to us and said she had a protection order and that he wasn't allowed near the apartment grounds. Unfortunately, that did not last. Olive had a lot of mental health issues and would always drop any charges against him so that she could see her children. He had her convinced that he had to be there or the kids wouldn't want to be there. Once he was back, he went right back into his stalking and harassment of us. He would knock on our door at all hours, even try to break in. Things got so bad that we eventually had to break our lease and move out when he wasn't home. He somehow kept track of us for about a year after we moved out, walking by our new apartment or sitting outside the salon I worked at. Thankfully, I have not seen him since 2017, but I have also moved away from the town this happened in. I just hope Olive and her daughters are safe. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance, your help means a lot to me and it really supports the channel. And the next one was also posted on r/ripe stories by user CanMom and it is titled Entitled Neighbors. Hi Ripe, hearing all you entitled people in Neighbors from Hell stories reminded me of neighbors we used to have. I did not personally witness every one of these events, but these stories are as accurate as I can remember. I grew up in an old neighborhood in a small town where most of the people had lived on the street since there was a street. It used to be a riverbed that went through a strip of farmland, or so I've been told, and everyone knew everyone else. As the original residents began to move away or pass away, new people with children began to move in. That is just the cycle of life. I grew up in a corner house with a green belt that ran behind all the houses on the one side. We had neighbors that we had known for years on our left, and to the right was the tail end of a dead-end street, with another house to the right of that. The street was just gravel and was really more of a big driveway to our garage that was at the back, but it was technically a road that led into the green belt. Anyway, when the neighbor on the other side of the gravel road moved out, a couple with a young daughter moved in. By young, I mean 4 or 5 years old, not a baby. At first we were friendly, they then bought a dog, a black cocker spaniel mix. And this is when they started creating problems. They seemed to think they owned the street and what they wanted was all that mattered. For example, they were highly upset that one neighbor did not take down the Christmas lights of their 2-story framed house. The lights were not lit after the holidays, and it would have taken a very large ladder and 2 people to get them down, and the elderly couple certainly couldn't do it. The idiot husband stood in the middle of the street, pacing back and forth, huffing and looking up at the house, clearly annoyed about the lights. Another neighbor, kitty corner to the idiot's house, had a teenaged son. One Sunday he and his friends were working on a beta car they were trying to fix up. Obviously the radio was on and maybe a bit loud. Well, idiot husband came over and asked them to turn it down as his daughter was trying to sleep. This is probably about 1 PM or 2 PM on a beautiful summer afternoon, but whatever. The kids turn it down, but over the next while it naturally gets turned up again. This time idiot husband was pissed. He stomps over, marches onto the neighbor's driveway and turns the radio down himself. The boy's father lost it, screamed at the idiot father that if he ever came on his property again, he would have the police down the idiot's throat. The idiot replied again that the music was keeping my daughter awake. The boy's father yelled back that a child that old has no business sleeping in the afternoon anyway. Snide comments were made back and forth, and idiot husband stomped back home in a huff. As I mentioned, the dead-end road that ran between the idiot's house and ours ended right at the greenbelt. A greenbelt is a large animal pathway that runs through the suburban area. It is a semi-scrubland/park sort of area, and there's also 2 baseball diamonds down at the one end of the belt, so naturally there is kids and teens down there all the time. Idiot husband got into the habit of scooping up their dog's poop with a shovel and throwing it over their fence into the greenbelt rather than dispose of it properly. The greenbelt is actually owned by the city, so a couple of calls to bylaw stopped that. One evening, maybe 7 PM, 2 brothers, probably about 12 and 10, were walking down the gravel road home, coming out of the greenbelt. Idiot mother begins screaming out the window that they are, again, keeping our daughter awake, and they needed to stop walking past her house or she would call the police. Both boys rushed home, and when their mom, who told me this story, asked what the boys had been doing, they told they were just talking. If she yells again, their mother told them, you come and get me. She has no right to tell you what to do on a public road. I will straighten her out. I guess word got back to idiot wife that the mother was looking for an excuse to go over because she didn't do it again. As an aside, when retelling these stories to a friend at the time, his comment was, does this kid have narcolepsy or something? And then there's the grass. Oh jeez, the grass. Now, I was involved in this one. One year the streets in the area were all ripped up so the city could replace the sewer lines. One of the streets that got torn out was the gravel dead-end road. When the pipes were done, they repaved it and just put down gravel to the fence line of our property and idiot neighbors instead of the gravel-filled grass that had been there. So one evening I am out in the backyard with my dogs and idiot wife comes over. IW, hey OP, have you spoken to the contractors? Me, yeah, actually I have. We have agreed to pay them to remove our hedge. The hedge was 60+ years old and was well past its prime. IW, well, you need to go back and tell them you want grass put down outside your fence. My husband is concerned it's going to look like a parking lot. Me, knowing that we didn't want grass, well, we will talk about it, and if we decide we want grass, we will take care of it ourselves. Idiot wife, well, you better make sure to do it before the contractors leave. Couple of days go by and she is over at our fence again while I am out with my dogs. Idiot wife, when are you going to talk to the contractors? Me, oh, I don't think we will. We are not sure we want grass. Idiot wife, well, you have to go and talk to them. My husband had to make a huge fuss. They didn't want to put down grass on our side because you haven't told them you want grass on your side. Me, well, like I said, we are having the hedge torn out and then we want to put a new fence in. It doesn't make sense to put grass down if it is going to get ruined. The next night, the idiot husband saunters over. Idiot husband, hey OP, I don't know if my wife talked to you about the grass, but... Me cutting him off since I know where this is going. Yes, she did, and like I said, if we decide we want grass after the fence is in, we will take care of it ourselves. Idiot husband, well, you have to talk to the contractors and get grass. Me, if we decide we want grass, we will take care of it ourselves. But they don't want to do our side if you're not having yours done. Like I said, if we decide we want grass, we will take care of it ourselves. Idiot husband, now annoyed, "But you have to have grass. It's going to look like a parking lot if you don't." Me tired of this. The strip of land he's talking about is considered part of the road and owned by the city, but they never maintain it. "If we decide we want grass, we will take care of it." Idiot husband: "I don't want it to look like a parking lot." "If we decide we want grass, we will take care of it ourselves." Cue idiot husband stomping off. We never did have grass put down, but the idiot neighbors got theirs alright. The contractors just tossed sod down over the lumpy gravel and called it a day. Most of it died and the idiot husband was left with a gravel-filled weed patch outside his fence that he got the pleasure of mowing all summer. Although considering how long he'd leave it and how high those weeds got, I guess he did not enjoy it all that much. The last straw came when they kept insisting on bringing their dog over to play with our 2 dogs even when I said no. The idiot husband went so far as to ambush me in the street when I was walking my dogs and insisted that I let the dogs play because their dog needed it, even though I wanted to bring my dogs in since it was much too cold outside. One night we woke up at 3 or 4 AM one night to find the idiot husband had opened our gate and let their dog into our yard uninvited. When confronted, idiot wife said that their dog was sick and idiot husband could not find his leash even though their yard was fenced in. To me, this was worse. I have 2 terriers, how do I know what their dog has? What if mine catch it? That was the last time we talked to them after I told them to get stuffed and never talk to us again. And if I caught them on our property again, the police would be called. But honestly, before I left, almost no one on the street was talking to them and the idiot husband kept coming out whenever I was in the yard just to watch what I was doing. I think these people needed a hobby. And ripe stars, unfortunately we have already reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. However, if you cannot wait for more ripe content, then I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you can find more exclusive Reddit content read by me. Patreon subscriptions start at just $1 per month, and for $1 your name will show up at the end of each of my new videos. However, if you are willing to spend $3 per month, you will get access to more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos, mostly just no mother-in-law stories. However, please understand, I don't want to pressure anyone into spending money, because I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos every single day. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next video.